Good morning. City of Southport Board of Aldermen meeting, November 3rd, 2023. It's now called to order. Thank you for being here, and thank you for those who are watching virtually. Hope everyone had a happy Halloween. It was a wonderful event at the fire station. The trunk or treat event was fantastic. Proud of Chief Drew and all our chiefs. Chief Goring, thank you. Your staff was there as well. We had wonderful adults and children dressed up in really great costumes. I saw a very friendly ghost there with his family. Thank you, Alderman Carroll. It's beautiful. And I saw a Long Island reporter, Bob Lipa, dressed as a pilot, State Board pilot reporter. So that was marvelous. So the First Lady and I had a great time, so thank y'all for that. And we look forward to next year. Just too bad we can't do it twice a year. Maybe we'll do that. Next on the agenda is our invocation by Reverend Alderman Lowe Davis, and that will be followed by our Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Almighty God, now more than ever, we thank you for blessing us with the joy of living in Southport. We ask today that you keep us mindful of those who do not enjoy such blessings and are suffering in this war-torn world. Let your presence bring strength to the weak, courage to the fearful, and understanding to all. May your mercy be the path to peace. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Alderman Davis. We certainly have many blessings in Southport, and we certainly have peace, so let's cherish each day. The next item, item D, will be public comment. Madam Clerk.
Harley Lemons.
The microphone is on, and your name, address, and topic.
I believe that's on. Well, good morning, Board. Thank you for the opportunity to speak before you. I'm Harley Lemons of 6228 Navigator Way here in Southport. I'm here to speak on oversight in the current UDO concerning driveway location. First, let me declare that I am speaking as a concerned citizen, not a member of the Board of Adjustment, which I am a member and until lately the chairman of. The Board of Adjustment has not had the opportunity to discuss the current status of this situation. So therefore, I'm speaking as a concerned citizen to you. I believe that in the past few days that the town manager received an email from Cameron Smith, a local builder, that concerned exactly what I'm speaking of. In the current UDO September 23rd, 2020 version, Article 3.12.B.4.E, no driveway shall be located within 10 feet of the side property line. No driveway shall be located within 10 feet of the side property line. I understand that in the prior version of the UDO that it only pertained to commercial, not residential. Due to some oversight, it includes residential now. Can you imagine the problem this is causing new owners and builders? It causes large delays in building and additional costs. It has a potential of overloading the Board of Aldermen adjustments with a variance request to get around this. At the Board of Adjustments meeting September the 26th, there was a variance request approved for just this situation. The town staff advised the Board of Adjustment that this was an oversight in the new UDO and should not have been included residential. The Board of Adjustments then requested that city staff develop a text change to the UDO, taking it to the planning board and a request to the Board of Aldermen for a quick approval, which at the best would take 3 months for that to be done and on the street. The planning board at the last meeting, I understand, I wasn't there, tabled this topic after having it presented to them requesting the change. The town manager was requested to have the staff not enforce this until the Board of Aldermen could address the issue and have the change made in the UDO. Her reply was she was not authorized, which was absolutely correct. Such a direction would have to come from the Board of Aldermen, which is what I'm addressing you for now. Please direct the city not to enforce the UDO Article 312B4E for residential permits until such time as city can approve a UDO change addressing the situation. Many builders, future owners, and actual members of the Board of Adjustments would be very appreciative. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, is anyone else here that would like to speak in public comment? Yes, ma'am, Ms. Kirkman.
Just to say that I'll be taking every opportunity possible to me to address the courthouse. Courthouse has sat there since, 1859, but for the last 5 years, sat there deteriorating. This belongs to the city. It needs to be maintained by the city. I would like for each of you at some time within the next few days to take yourself down to the courthouse and walk around the complete courthouse and look at what condition we have let this building come. It is a historical landmark in our city. It was the Brunswick County Courthouse. We were the county seat for 180 years. And we are letting that building just go. I know the big plans that may come to fruition maybe in the next 10 years and maybe not. But I think in the last 5 years that we've had this building, that we have been very negligent. And at least let's clean up the front. If we can't go inside, let's clean and maintain the outside of that building as long as we can, because it is not a good thing for people, locals, natives, and also for visitors to walk by that building and say and think to themselves, what is going to happen to this building? Well, it may be torn down and turned into a parking lot. Who knows? Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, great. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, I'll read the ethics statement. If any members know of any conflict of interest or the appearance of a conflict of interest concerning matters on the agenda, please so state at this time.
I have a conflict as it relates to item L, I believe, that we're moving. I put that conflict in writing, I believe, yesterday. All of y'all have a copy, and I've given a copy to the city clerk.
All right, thank you. Any other conflicts? Okay, thank you, Alderman Carroll. Item E is approval of the agenda. As you see, there are 3 items on the agenda, plus we have closed session on there. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda. Mayor Pro Tem Mosteller, is there a second? Mr. Lombardi, is there any further discussion on the agenda? All in favor? Aye. Okay, motion carried unanimously. Thank you. Item F is approval of the consent agenda. And there are 4 items on there, and I'll just describe them briefly. So those here and those watching at home, the first item is set the public hearing for a system development fee study. At the October meeting, Withers Ravenel presented the system development fee study and proposed fees for water and wastewater. The general statute requires that the study and proposed fees be published and made available to the public to review for a period of 45 days. After that, a public hearing must be held before the board can adopt the study and the fee schedule. The study and supporting materials have been available on the city's website and in City Hall right after your last meeting, board. The next step is to set the public hearing for the December 7th board meeting. So when the consent agenda is approved, the public hearing for the system development fee study and proposed fees will be set for the December 7th, 2023 Board of Aldermen meeting. So that's our first item. The second item is the amendment to the animal welfare ordinance. And this is to remove language referring to the remote gate access system and associated penalties. The recommendation is not to install this at this time. The access gate per city staff is not required. No violations or calls for service at the dog park since opening in February. So this is a code of ordinances, and this will be changed. And then items 3 and 4, they are minutes from the regular Board of Aldermen meeting, September 14th, 2023, and then minutes from the closed session from the same date. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. Alderman Allen, is there a second? Alderman Lowe Davis. Any further discussion on the consent agenda? All in favor? Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Thank you, Board. Is there a special recognition? I see it over there. Okay, thank you. Item H will be our agenda, and the first item, H1, is a sign plan. And this is looking at uniformity, design, colors for our city signage, clarity, and conformity to our historic heritage. And I will call on Elena Dale for this sign branding project. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. So the Community Relations Department, as well as the Beautification Committee, has been taking a look at our sign inventory around the city and realizing that some of our signs are becoming older and will need to be replaced in the next few years. We decided that now would be a good time to set up brand guidelines for those signs in order to establish a basis for, as each sign needs to come down and be replaced, what should it look like when it goes back up. Okay, so the first thing that we did was we took a look at the city's color guidelines, and I came up with these hex codes that we would be able to turn over to whichever company we choose to move forward with this project. So we know that each sign will have a very specific color when the sign is first erected. We also chose a example font. We chose Garamond because it's very similar to the signage that's already existing. So these new signs would not look out of place with the old signs that will still be erected. Examples of current signs, and you can see the font on these. We have both the public services sign, and then also on the left, one of our newest signs, the restrooms on Nash Street. One of the signs that we would like to replace pretty quickly would probably be the 2 Southport City Hall signs, as they are some of the older signs in the city. We contracted a company to do some mock-ups for us just so we could get an idea of what these colors and fonts would look like if we moved forward with this project. We also spoke with the Historic Preservation Committee as well as the fire department about specific things that we needed to keep in mind when mocking up these designs, one of which is making sure that every city building has the address of the building on the sign. One of the other signs that we'd probably replace would be Taylorfield Parks. The sign that's currently at the park was always meant to be a draft sign with a different sign being erected later, and that is a mock-up of a suggested sign for that park. That particular park would need a large sign as there is a lot of inscription on it, and that is why it matches to a certain extent what the City Hall mock-up would look like. As far as next steps, as of October 19th, we have successfully submitted our application for a grant from Electricities with the anticipation of an award announcement in mid-December. To expedite the process, I'm asking the Board of Aldermen's approval of the project's concept. Assuming a positive outcome today, we would like to initiate a community poll to gather feedback on suggested designs. This participatory approach ensures that our project aligns with the preferences of the community. Following the collection of community feedback, the next step involves creating an RFP, which would be tailored to the specifications based on community's input. And then once those proposals are received, we intend to present the new design mock-ups to the board for review and endorsement. At that time, we would also have confirmation on whether the Electricity Smart Communities grant was rewarded. And that is all if anybody has any questions.
Any questions for Ms. Dale?
I just wanted to, whenever you do the public input, could you do a lot of different mock-ups? For example, this one that's for City Hall says the City of Southport, and then it has the City of Southport seal and all. Whereas if it just said Southport, do some variations. Also
Yes.
with color. It looks like you're using the lighter blue for the words. Do it with the darker blue, I think. When
Yes.
you look at the city, that's with the dark blue, it pops and
Okay.
that sort of thing. Just so that everybody has opportunities to get all nuances.
A lot of variation.
Yeah, because the way that they did the Taylor Field, there wasn't really South. We know we're in Southport. It's got the big seal on it. So that may be that you want a variation for parks or
Okay.
other things like
Definitely.
that. So anyway, that's all.
Okay.
Comments, questions from
I
the
do.
board?
Do you know how you're going to do the poll? Will it be internet, or I'm remembering when Taylor Field was in its early stages, at the concept stage, there was an opportunity to go and look at all kinds of different possibilities for what could be included, and people got to put stickers on different things that they liked. Anything like that, or an internet poll with pictures? Or
It would be an
what?
internet poll with pictures using a new software that the city just started using called Polco. And it will be a good, in my opinion, it would be a good time for the residents to start using this particular software, since everybody's a little unfamiliar with it. Yeah.
Anyone else? Any other board members? Okay, great. Do you need a vote for us to move forward on this
The
concept?
approval of the concept.
Okay, all right. I'll entertain a motion, board, to approve the concept of these, the sign branding for the city. Okay. Motion by Alderman Davis, and a second by Mr. Lombardi. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion carried unanimously. Thank you. Thank you for your work on this. Thank you, staff. Next item on our agenda is the city staff work week, and this is looking for, flexibility for our workers. In corporations and factories, hospitals, they're on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and just like our police, there's been multiple ways of doing it. I remember in my hometown, the police worked 3 shifts, 7 to 3, 3 to 11, and 7 to 11, as we did at the hospital. And then we did 4-10s, and then some were working just weekends and had off during the week. So all these different permutations. So I look forward to the discussion from City Manager Bonnie Theron on this.
Yes, as I mentioned to you when we talked about the pay classification study, we're having a lot of issues. We've had quite a few people that were our number one candidates, and due to not being able to offer remote or doing anything like that, they have not taken the job because where they're working, they are allowed to do that. I'm not a fan of remote work, especially with a department head. But I thought that at least we could look at options for perhaps giving a little bit of more flexibility. And so we surveyed all, not the public safety, because they're on their own schedule, they got to stay there. But we did survey everyone else and see what they prefer, and we gave them quite a few options. And as you can see, the top two options right now is City Hall would remain open 5 days a week, but people could work 4 10s, and then they would choose a Monday or a Friday off, so that all departments would still stay open 5 days a week, but at least there'd be a little bit more flexibility. And as a plus, City Hall would be open later, so that, you know, people after hours could come in and conduct business at that time. So that was the more popular one, but right behind that was to stay as is with our current work schedule. So these are just some options. I did have Ms. Fortuna, our HR director, who couldn't be here today due to illness, look at what other communities are doing. I shared that with the board yesterday, and really this would be something new that most of the towns do not do right now, but they're anxious to see what we do because I think they're all looking at the same thing. The only one who had anything was in Charlotte. They implemented a summer schedule in '23, which gave the option of rotating, but that's only during the summer from Memorial Day through Labor Day. They have nothing year-round. So I wanted to at least bring this topic to the board and maybe get some discussion about what we want to do, what we want to offer, if anything, and start the ball rolling. I've worked in communities that do it a lot of different ways. So the remote thing, though, is, I'm never too keen on that. I'm old school, I guess, Mayor. So I just want to at least have a discussion and start that. So it would help, I think, with recruiting. I really do.
I have a question. If you have to change it at all, I would go with the 410s. However, the stations that are not covered, if you take a Monday and a Friday, will they be covered? Will everybody's station be covered in those
Well,
off
there would,
days?
yeah, there'd be a way to make sure that each office would still, in other words, you can't have everybody off on a Monday, and you can't have everybody off on a Friday. So development services, it would be half and half. So many would pick a Monday, so many would pick a Friday, and it would be great if we would just stay consistent so that all of us know, you know, Maureen is here on Fridays, but Tori's off on Mondays, that kind of thing.
So when, say, Maureen has the day off, then her department won't be covered.
Well, there'd be others in the development services department, for example.
That can cover it.
Yes.
That's what I wanted to know.
Yes, yes,
Well,
yes.
if at all, 410s would be my choice. However, 40 hours a week is probably better.
Do you want to, you can go.
Ask, do you have a strong preference? Say I do. That's why we did this, the poll, is to try to see, you know, what works for the employees. And it looks like it's a little close, but it looks like the 410s is coming up as the number one. And, you know, I bet in places where we've implemented it and those who didn't want it implemented, once it gets implemented, are like, oh, why didn't we do this a long time ago? Because if you work 410s, once you're there, adding a few more hours isn't too bad when you can have a 3-day weekend. I think people will realize then that, oh, you know what, this isn't a bad deal. So.
What if what if we adopt this and a few employees don't want to do it? Would they be able to shift back to a 5-day? Or would that just put the whole thing in?
No, I think we could
Chaos.
work with them. I mean, if you got childcare issues or whatever, I think we could certainly work with them, because City Hall's still going to remain open. It's just we got to make sure that, especially like utilities, that we got to have somebody there for coverage. That's the big thing.
important to have some flexibility there, especially in regards to child care issues, because we don't want to, move somebody out of their job because they can't accommodate the schedule anymore. So I think that's good.
Flexibility, quality of life, that type of thing for the employees, and whatever we can do, managers, this is a good first step. So thank you for being the first. Southport's always first, right? It's the first city to go ahead and try to implement something like this. So that's great. I applaud you for that.
Bonnie, did y'all consider? I saw. So what I did is I went online, of course, and read about different work situations, and some of the conversation around 10 hours was not necessarily more productive, just longer there because of being tired and fatigue and things like that. My question would be, I read about where you might do a 36-hour week or a 35-hour week, and the studies show that productivity doesn't go down from that. So I guess my question is, would that be something that you could look at as well? I know Bald Head has theirs reduced like that, but they have a ferry ride involved, so I know part of that.
I mean, we could, but I mean, that, to me, sometimes that would be a reduction to the citizens in hours that they can access City Hall, which to me wouldn't go across really. That wouldn't be. Yeah, I mean, I suppose we could look at that. I think if anything, what I'd like to recommend to the board is if we come up with a plan of something, let's try it as a pilot and see how it works, what's the positive, what the negative is, get the reaction from, so you might do a 3 or 4 month pilot, say starting January 1st, so that you have enough lead time for the public. And let's see how it works. And if it doesn't, we go back to the way it was.
What are you asking for
Yeah,
us to?
Chief is here. Could you tell us what the schedule is for your department? Does this affect you? No, public safety's going to stay as is. I can't do that. I must say, too, the other one I'm a little concerned about is public services, because, especially with the clocks changing, I'm not sure you could do much work in pitch dark. So Tom Stanley and I would have to really sit down and see, could this work for, usually when you do something like this, it's not, Public Works does not get a part of it because of the just daylight time. So we'll have to see, take a look.
Are you asking us to vote on something, or what would you like us to do?
I can do some further research and bring it back one last time, and then I would suggest at that point, we could go for a pilot starting in January, and let's see how it works.
Because it appears, it's not a universal, but it appears the 410 has the most support, and it wouldn't be the most radical of going to less than a 40-hour work week for employees. Unless everybody was going to do that, then some people would have to work 4 extra hours. Whether you're in Public Works or not, everybody's working 40 hours now. And if we went to, you in that building can work 36 hours, but you in this building has to work 40 hours, that to me seems like there's going to be some anti-team building. Okay.
I think in November, we're having, with all the employees, some training with OSHA. So that'd be the perfect opportunity for me to get in front of all of them and have a discussion with all of them about some options and see what people are saying, and then bring it back to you, and we'll come up with a pilot and try it.
That a lot, I was going to suggest that maybe you take it back and talk in more detail with everybody about the 410 option, and start getting it kind of nailed down as to how it would work and who it would affect.
Thank you for even looking at this, but it's a different world now, and I think we have to start being a little more progressive in what we offer.
Thank you, City Manager. It was a good discussion, and flexibility, I think, will help in any organization, and as I say, improve quality of life of our workforce. So thank you. Next item on the agenda is future training, and that's Bonnie Theron and Alderman Alt.
I think it was February 10th, 2022, we voted on a conflict of interest rule. And in the document, it talks about having annual training every February. So to follow up on that rule, since we all seem to have forgotten that we voted on that, I thought we should have a training session every February to talk about a review of all recently established North Carolina statutes, applicable North Carolina, U.S. Fourth Circuit, U.S. Supreme Court findings, and other federal court cases that have a nexus to municipal legislative deliberations. A review of all North Carolina School of Government essays, written products that have a nexus to municipal legislative deliberations. A review of all Southport policies, procedures that have a nexus to legislative deliberations. A briefing from our law firm. Each January, the manager, each January, the manager would forward to us in the January meeting, this is the outline of what we want, so that we would have an opportunity to say, well, I saw this other thing, can we put that on the agenda, just so we can do it in an easy flow motion, so that it refreshes our memory, keeps us abreast of what's going on, and we stay abreast of all of this stuff. And then which did not make it to this document, and we can do it in 2 votes if you'd like to, is that every election year, when we have an election in July, there's a class that's given to not only to the incumbents, but to anybody who's running about what the election rules are in Southport and in the state of North Carolina. It probably wouldn't be long, but it would put everybody on notice and let them know what the rules are so that they and their surrogates would follow the rules perhaps better. So we can do that in 2 things, but I'm asking that we vote that in February we have this one last class, a little longer, every other year in July, when the elections process starts, we have a shorter class that lets us know what's going on with the election process.
Would it be more effective if we discuss these new rules as they come about, instead of having it all in one day and being so long? Maybe say in August, something comes up, discuss it then, instead of waiting until the end of the year. I think people would be more attentive than having a whole day of listening.
Well,
to
I'm
all
not
the
sure
rules.
this would take us a day to do that. I think it'd be a couple of hours, but the bottom line is I don't want us to have happen what just happened. Well, I think it's universally that we voted on something a year and a half ago, and then we forgot what it was that we voted on, and it has to do with conflict of interest. It would keep us not having to fall into that thing.
I hear what you're saying. We typically, our annual January and February workshops are sort of the beginnings of the budget process and a time that the board comes together to discuss future goals and priorities. And we also receive project updates from city staff and partners like Brunswick Electric. Rich, I think this is a good idea. Could be possibly a module in our meetings from our city attorney where he brings some of this information forward for us and uses that within those workshops annual workshops we typically do in January and February anyway.
Oh, I'm happy with splitting it.
Let him drive the train, because in my way of thinking, I think it would be helpful to discuss with our attorney what he thinks that could look like and how he could do it. And it might even be better yet if the city manager just talks with Brady about what might be useful training for us and with regard to all the state and federal and yada yada. So anyway, I think that if we could let Brady, but ask that we would like to have that be part of that series of
workshops in January and February,
yeah.
that we would split it.
Yeah, because one of the things is I went through everything. And for example, it said in here the School of Government and all of their literature and everything. Well, when you go to their website, they've got over 8,000 pieces of information, and then just for elected officials, they've got over almost 900. So the way my experience with the School of Government is the way it really works is a valuable research tool, but you have to ask a question. You're asking a question that you're getting them to answer for you, whether it's the animal welfare ordinance that we worked on. We used them for that. The short-term vacation rentals, one of their publications was used for that. And of course, all our zoning interpretations come through them. So I think all of that could wrap in, and Brady will bring forth what he thinks of that. That would be useful, I would hope. Because they utilize the School of Government too.
I'd like to take a moment because this idea of conflict of interest and that this was something recent, the grandstanding attempts, I'd like to talk about that a little bit since we're there and since you brought it up again. So more than 10 different conflicts.
Stay on this topic and then
Yeah, this
go
is
to
it's the
specific.
same. He mentioned conflict of interest, so it's the same. More than 10 conflict of interest since February 10th, 2022, including one that night. One of the things that you've harped on is the fact that it should have been in writing. Now, our attorney's not sure that this policy even applies, but that's a whole nother conversation. Not one of those 10 conflict of interest since February 10th, 2022 have been put in writing. However, it was made a big deal that I did not put mine in writing. So you can go back in the minutes and see those more than 10 examples where that took place. That being said, I did prepare just a couple of comments about my comments in the October 12th meeting. So during the October 12th meeting, I acted out of frustration because of what seemed like more of a personal attack against my character as it relates to property that the city is considering purchasing. We've been pretty upfront through this entire process about the fact that I have a conflict. I'm not making any money, Mr. Spencer, contrary to what you've commented. Bonnie knows that during the closed session meeting, the comments that I made had nothing to do with the property specifically, and more were terms related to strategy and contracts. So since then, I've recused myself from every other deliberation regarding the property on House Street, and that will happen again today. But I did act out of frustration, and I accused Lowe Davis of having a conflict, or at least the appearance of a conflict as it relates to the city considering properties that are owned by the Harper family. And at the time that we went into closed session, we were told that the Harpers were represented by someone that I believed was a family member of Miss Davis, and it was really my mistake based on, what I believe to be the truth. And so I apologize publicly to you for that. I appreciate that. My comments go back to some things and some examples all the way back to May of 2021. And that's where I based my comment, and I apologize for that. But at that time, you recused yourself from appointing Jason to the Board of Adjustments because of the relationship. And so I made that mistake in carrying that forward. And I think at the time, perhaps, it wasn't necessary that you recused yourself. But I needed to at least help people to understand that the things that I've been accused of existed across the entire board. Everybody has discussed their conflicts, they've talked about their conflicts, but they haven't put them in writing as the policy suggests we should. And you're right, Rich, we voted on something and within minutes broke what we voted on. and continue to do so if in fact that's how it applied. So, Lo, I am sincere in apologizing to you. I understand that it was rude, it was out of frustration. I felt like this was a personal attack on me. I have not, there's no backroom dealings, there's no, it's all been clear. It couldn't be more clear. You know, my name's on the listing, my firm's on the listing. So if I did anything, board, to offend you, if I misled you in who represented that piece of property, I apologize to you as well.
Thank you. That's very gracious. I
My,
appreciate it.
my reason for having this
Can
class.
I continue, please? You were referring to the May 13, 2001 meeting. I looked back at that. It was recorded. These were dark times. It was COVID. We were wearing masks, and we were each at different tables. And when this came up, Mike Eisenberg, our city attorney, was always at the table right next to me. I asked to be recused, and what doesn't show on the recording, because we really focused in on each face at the time, was I asked to be recused, and Mike turned to me and said, "You can't be. He's not your family." And then he did then on the recording turn and say, this technically is not a conflict. It would be up to the board. The board voted, and we went on. But I want to remark that we were all in conflict on something. I bring you back to when we had the resolution on the equal rights, our support for extending the Equal Rights Amendment. The League of Women Voters was present, numerous members. I'm an active member of the League of Women Voters, and the mayor called on me to explain what the resolution was all about, and then we all voted in favor of it. Well, were we not all in conflict? I'm a woman. Alderman Mosteller is a woman. All of the rest of you who are not fortunate enough to be women either have wives, sisters, daughters, grandmothers, and frankly, we would all benefit if the ERA ever passes. So, guilty.
My whole point of this conversation, why I started is that this has been a collective issue for all of us since February 10th, 2022. In fact, it took us a while even to find the document. So instead of having this drift out of our memories, I wanted to make sure that this and all other future documents that come out is refreshed in our minds. I am happy to take your friendly amendment to say we do it in 2 sessions on January and February. That's okay. But enough finger pointing. This was, any one of us could have thrown the flag at any time to stop this as it went through. I could have said at any time, you should have done this in writing. You should have done, we didn't. None of us did it. So rather than do finger pointing at everybody about which time, I'm bad, but you're worser. I don't want to get involved in that. I just want to fix it. And I think this training will help us fix a problem that was not intended. None of us intended to do harm. We'll just fix it. That was my intent.
When Alderman Carroll were not fortunate enough to get the training that the rest of us did right after we were elected in 2019.
We had training.
Did you, what I don't think you had was the day-long, I bet you all remember this, the day-long session up at one of the big hotels in Wilmington. It was put on by the School of Government, and I mean, they put us through our paces about things that have been valuable to know as we've gone forward.
We had each,
I hope they'll do that
we each,
again.
we either had 2 days or 3 days where the video, no, it was, you know, teleconference, you know, that type of thing, because of COVID. But we had extensive training periods, and I specifically remember the ethics training from the School of Government and all of that stuff. But we had the training because you're required to have it, so they made us do it on the computer.
Yeah, I think this cycle is going to be much better, though. I think that we've got a city manager who is dedicated to the health of this board. I believe that. And so come January, when we take into consideration Alderman Alt and Mosteller's comments about January and February, this is exactly, and I'm guilty of also relying on staff and our attorney to keep me out of jail. So, so that's also an important part for me. So.
Excellent discussion, and I think having the Mayor Pro Tem, having the city attorney bring this to us and putting in modules in January and February, because as you say, there are thousands of documents on the School of Government, and they're there for a question, and then they help us with that. And so we certainly will do that. And the apologies and the conflict of interest and that sort of thing, well noted, and thank y'all for that discussion. But in the grand scheme, nobody is harming the city in their conflicts. I mean, and then you're bringing them up. They may not have been in writing, but you did bring them up, and we'll continue to put them in writing. So thank you for that. So, City Manager, if you'll when we get to our workshops in January and February, we have the city attorney make sure that he'll put those modules in there. And I think what Alderman Davis was referring to was we had the good fortune of being in person in the conference rooms with all these new and elected officials, and we had this wonderful in-person dynamic day-long conference, and it was marvelous. And I think that's what she was alluding to, not that you didn't have it. It was just, it's different when you're there in person and can talk to them and be with them and that type of thing. So.
Talk with council members from neighboring
Yes.
cities.
So do we need a vote on this?
Well, I got one more thing. Also, because Richie mentioned in here reviewing all city policies and procedures, I think, and this would be for the city manager to consider, that to me would be a department head subject matter expert conversation that they may present policies, and maybe that could be a module.
If it's written that way, that was not what my intent was. I was not going over the entire city policies and procedures. That may take us 4 minutes today, but hopefully in the future it'll take us longer as we get more. But my point was our policies and procedures in reference to conflict of interest and the bigger picture of ethics. Yes, us.
I'm in favor. I don't know if we need to vote, but.
No, I mean, and just so you know, the department heads and I are already working on orientation for the board. So we're just going to add this in, and then it won't be a part of your regular meeting because you've got enough to deal with on your regular agenda meeting. So we'll make it a part of the orientation after election.
Thank you. So we're moving forward on this also. So very good. Thank you, board. Good discussion. Next item I, manager's report.
Yes, I just have one item, and it's more of a statement, should I say. Due to recent events, there's been much said and many rumors spread regarding some city personnel matters. According to Southport's charter and state law, it is the responsibility of the city manager and only the city manager to hire and discipline employees. No elected officials are nor should be involved in these matters. As city manager, before any major personnel decision is ever made that can impact any employee, I exercise my due diligence by conducting a thorough review of the information we have. I ask a lot of questions, and I find a conclusion that I feel is right for this city. Until that review is concluded, I ask that no one is quick to judge and that all rumors and theories are put to rest, because some of the rumors I have heard are disgusting. Yesterday, I found out that residents are going to department heads and asking questions. That is wrong. There is one person you ask questions to, and that's to me. And that's my role as a city manager. So once I'm done with my review, however long that takes, and I feel comfortable with my decision, I will inform the board first of my findings, as well as then the public to the extent permitted by law. Again, in the meantime, you have questions and queries of what is going on, I am very easily reached by email, by phone, then call me, no one else. And I will give you whatever I can by law. Thank you, Mayor.
Andrew, and thank you for that statement. Item J, mayor's comments. Just again, thank you for this meeting, board. Just a couple of things. As you know, the Wooden Boat Show is tomorrow, so make sure that it's going to be a wonderful day in the city. So tell your family, friends, be sure to attend. And this evening they are having a art show, maritime art show at Franklin Square Art Gallery, and awards will be given at 6 p.m. We'll be there, and but the show is from 5 to 7. I think it coincides with Gallery Walk, so make sure that you partake of that. Item K, board comments. Alderman Allen, Alderman Carroll, Alderman Alt,
No, sir.
Alderman Davis.
We still support the Equal Rights Amendment, right?
Ask the attorney. Alderman Lombardi.
Yes, I have something from beautification. We had some interviews for positions that were open, and I'd like to make a motion to accept Lawrence Ashley, Joseph Fleckenshire, and Karen Brennan to the Beautification Committee.
Just comments. We really have to put it on the agenda, so it'll have to be on
Oh,
the
okay,
next
I'm
meeting.
sorry.
No, that's
right.
okay.
I
That's all right.
I'll do it next.
Yeah, but it's nice to let us know that they have been, they're
Yeah,
on
I
there.
thought it was going to be on.
Yeah,
Can you get those names to Dory before you leave today,
Sure.
Tom? And we'll put it
Yeah.
on for the 9th.
All right.
yeah, that'd
I'm
be
sorry.
perfect. No, thank you. No, thank you for letting us know.
mistake.
No. Mayor Pro Tem Mosteller.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for their attendance, and we will need a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
Alderman Lombardi, is there a second? Second by Alderman Allen. Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor? Okay, we'll be going into closed session. Thank you, board. Thank you, public.
the regulatory boards need somebody taking, yeah. Oh,
All right, I'll entertain a motion to go out of closed session. We were in closed session for two reasons. One, to discuss a personnel issue, and also to discuss a real estate matter. A very good discussion. Thank you, Board. And a motion to come out of closed session? Mr. Lombardi, second by Mayor Pro Tem Mosteller. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay, we're now back in open session. Thank you for this excellent meeting, and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Alderman Allen, second. Mr. Lombardi, all in favor? Meeting adjourned. Thank you. Enjoy your weekend.